Greetings, citizens of the world. Republicans face the likelihood of losing a U.S. Senate seat in Arizona in the 2018 midterms, imperiling their thin majority, due to Senator Jeff Flake's vulnerability. Late last month, Democrat Congresswoman Kyrsten Sinema announced her candidacy, which prompted the Cook Political Report to move the race into the toss-up column. Cook cited a poll showing Sinema with a 7-point lead in a potential matchup should both become their respective parties' nominees. The group also noted that Flake, who has been a fierce critic of President Donald Trump, has the lowest approval rating of any senator up for re-election. A Morning Consult poll conducted in July found just 37% approved of his job performance, while 45% disapproved. Only Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and fellow Arizonan Senator John McCain had worse numbers, but neither of them is up for re-election next year. Former state Senator Lori Klein told Western Journalism that Flake has alienated much of the Republican base in Arizona by being so hostile to Trump. In his book, Conscience of a Conservative, A Rejection of Destructive Politics and a Return to Principle, published this summer, Flake takes aim at the president. "We pretended that the emperor wasn't naked," Flake writes. "Even worse, we checked our critical faculties at the door and pretended the emperor was making sense," referring to Trump. To carry on in the spring of 2017, after Trump assumed office, as if what was happening was anything approaching normalcy required a determined suspension of critical faculties. And tremendous powers of denial, he adds. Klein characterized Flake as a damaged candidate, because of his opposition to Trump and by extension Arizonans who support the president. "When you dish your voters like that, I think Flake has an uphill battle," she said. "It is going to be hard for him to overcome all the things he's done against Trump and the voters of Arizona to win a general election against a formidable candidate like Kyrsten Sinema." Klein noted that Trump won the Arizona Republican presidential primary by a 2-1 margin last year, and then went on to win the general election last November by 4 points. She further explained the Democrat Party will be willing to spend millions to garner a win for Sinema, who has positioned herself as a centrist, but make no mistake, she's as dyed-in-the-wool Alinskyite as former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton or former President Barack Obama. Kyrsten started out as a Green Party radical leftist bisexual member of the state legislature, very proud of it and very partisan in her approach, Klein said. "Personally, the congresswoman is very likable and a relative unknown in the state, giving her the ability to define herself, however her policies are very leftist," she added. For example, as a state senator in 2010, she introduced legislation requiring sex education for all Arizona students K-12, which was defeated. Planned Parenthood gave her a 100% rating in 2017 and not all Pro-Choice America rated her 91%, while she has a lifetime average of 18% on the Conservative Heritage Action scorecard, slightly above the Democrat average of 14%. Nonetheless, a Western Republican political consultant told WJ he thought the Cook Political Report was being generous to describe 2018 general election Senate race as a toss-up, even in reddish Arizona. "I think if the field holds as it is today, I think Kyrsten Sinema regrettably is the next senator from the state of Arizona," he said. He added even if former Republican State Senator Kelly Ward, who is challenging Flake, should defeat him in the primary, and she currently has a double-digit lead in polling, the seat still falls into Democrat hands next November. "I think if the primary remains Flake versus Ward, and Flake is the nominee, then Trump voters will stay home, and I think if Ward is the nominee, the establishment Republicans will stick home," the consultant stated. Jennifer Duffy, an analyst with the Cook Political Report, shares this assessment, describing Ward's support in the Grand Canyon state as shallow, buoyed mainly by Flake's weakness among the GOP. "I think that a Sinema-Ward race could be a real problem for Republicans," she said, adding Flake as an incumbent would likely have a better chance against Sinema. Though Trump welcomed Ward's challenge of Flake in the GOP primary, he has not endorsed in the race to date. Both the GOP consultant and Klein believe the only hope for holding the seat is for a Republican of stature, with solid conservative credentials, to step forward to challenge Flake. The current field is not going to lead to a victory in the U.S. Senate race, the consultant said. I think there are a lot of good Republicans out there, good conservative Republicans, that support the president, that can make a coherent argument for conservative Republican principles, that will appeal statewide in November 2018. Some have suggested Arizona State Treasurer Jeff DeWitt as the best candidate to challenge Flake in the Republican primary. DeWitt headed Trump's 2016 presidential campaign in Arizona and would almost certainly receive an endorsement from the president, but he has shown no interest in entering the fray. Klein mentioned Congressman Paul Gosar and Trent Franks as possible candidates, who could fit the bill. They have a proven track record and they're smart,